Hey everyone, this is Cindy at an open door. It is January 19th, Monday at 11:30 a.m. It is the hour we have called Where the Rubber Meets the Road, where we pull an idea from A Course in Miracles. We talk about a little bit and mostly point to how we can make it alive for us in this present moment. Yeah. Um, Earlier, before last week's session, I was given lessons 101 and 102 together, and I thought we were going to do them both last week, but it became really obvious that we weren't. So last week was God's will for me is perfect happiness, and this week it is I share God's will for happiness for me. It's a one pager, right? So um, the way guidance hit this morning is I'm going to read it. And then I have a 5-minute song I don't know if any of you have ever heard before because a friend just dropped it in, gave it to me yesterday. And it's a perfect 5-minute interlude to practice. And since this this lesson's all about practice, I figured we'd use our musical time to practice. And then I may say a word or two before I hand things over to Andrew and then the group, but I'm not even certain I'm going to do that. I do invite us all into direct experience. I do invite us all into the willingness to accept what Sandra has taught us, which is the simple pointing that the um, the course is true. The course is true, which means that the worldly experiences of something other is something that perhaps we don't have to invest too much energy in believing. We can experience, but we actually don't have to believe the stories. So I am going to read lesson 102, and then I'm going to play a 5-minute song. Then I'm going to perhaps share something, and then I'm going to hand things over to Andrew. And then we'll take it from there. So, lesson 102 from A Course in Miracles. I share God's will for happiness for me. You do not want to suffer. I do invite us all, like, because with everything going on in my world, I did find a belief that said, as long as I am suffering, my sisters won't attack me. So, if I share in their suffering, sort of a little bit, there was a conversation that came up with Sandra last week, like, is it safe for me to just express my joy and happiness? Am I allowed to be at peace while other people are suffering? I saw a belief. Now, I wasn't given it. I saw an attachment to a belief in the structure you call Cindy that it's a lot safer to be miserable with them than it is to express calmness and peace and the assurity that everything was going to be right. So, this statement, you do not want to suffer, you may think it buys you something and may still believe a little that it buys you what you want. I just want to acknowledge that the gift of the current worldly situation in Cindy's life is that the historical belief in that is coming to the surface, giving me the opportunity to allow it to fully express without believing that it's true, but feeling all the ramifications of that, which I'm starting to deepen into the understanding that that's really the only purpose of the world right now. You do not want to suffer. You may think it buys you something and may still believe a little that it buys you what you want. Yet this belief is surely shaken now. It's shaken here, at least enough to let you question it and to suspect it really makes no sense. Which again takes me back to this conversation that I think it was in Advaita in ACIM last week that Sandra started. Man, I love every time we get together. It is not gone as yet. Yeah, that's true here. but lacks the roots that once secured it tightly to the dark and hidden secret places of your mind. And how do I know that's true? Because we're questioning it, because we're here. Today we try to loose its weakened hold still further. Yes, yes, yes. And to realize that pain is purposeless, without a cause and with no power to accomplish anything. It cannot purchase anything at all. It offers nothing and does not exist. And yet everything you think it offers you is lacking in existence like itself. You have been a slave to nothing. There's tears in my eyes, perhaps because this time last week I didn't know why this became a 2-week practice instead of 1 week. Last week it just felt like lesson 101 was more than enough. And now I'm recognizing that these words are speaking directly to Cindy in her current worldly circumstance. Perhaps they're speaking to you too and whatever's going on for you. But I know that this time last week, my father had not fallen and there was no family crisis and uproar and not certain of what was going on. And so I wouldn't have had the same opportunity to practice that I do today. It offers nothing and does not exist, and everything you think it offers you is lacking in existence like itself. You have been a slave to nothing. Be you free today to join the happy will of God. For several days, we will continue to devote our longer practice periods to exercises planned to help you reach the happiness God's will has placed in you. Here is your home, and here your safety is. Here is your peace, and here there is no fear. The next live channeling is called Releasing Fear, which is kind of cool. Here is salvation. Here is rest at last. Begin the longer practice periods with this acceptance of God's will for you. I share God's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now. Then seek this function deep within your mind, for it is there, awaiting but your choice. You cannot fail to find it when you learn it is your choice and that you share God's will. Be happy. For your only function here is happiness. You have no need to be less loving to God's Son than He whose love created Him, as loving as Himself. Besides these hourly 5-minute rests, pause frequently today to tell yourself that you have now accepted happiness as your one function. And be sure that you are joining with God's will in doing this. So this 5-minute song, it was written as part of a 6-week trauma release program. I'm not promoting a trauma release program or not promoting a trauma release program. But the verbiage from the song is trauma. And I realized this morning that trauma, sanskara, contraction, cocoon, ego, it's all the same. It's this belief in the I separate and what that means. So, yeah, take these 5 minutes to practice. I share God's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now. Seek this function deep within your mind, for it is there. All right. I'll see you on the other side of these 5 minutes.
I've been holding my breath for so long, holding the tension, holding the fear of a story that says I must stay small, must stay protected in my walls. Could I ever be free to be me? Could I ever open back up to life? Exhale into being, exhale into flow. My body's wisdom guides me to come alive. Exhale into being, I'm gently opening to the safety inside. I'm not alone. My body's learning to believe that it's okay to breathe, it's okay to receive. Exhale into being, one breath at a time. My body's remembering how to feel. Safety first, I'm learning to feel the ground beneath me, what's so real. My shoulders drop and my jaw release, and my whole system finally easing into a calm I've never known, into a quiet, sacred home. Exhale into support. I'm held and I'm strong. My capacity's growing. I'm here, I belong. Support is rising up inside. I'm learning to feel safe, not run and hide. To move through the waves with support. To know that my feelings can be here. Not pushing parts away, but inviting them in. I'm becoming more whole, calm and alive. I'm pacing myself like the ocean tide. Not rushing forward, not hiding back inside. I'm building a life that's spacious and wide. I'm learning expansion. I'm learning to glide through moments of joy and pain. I'm learning I can dance in the rain. Exhaustion lifting, pain softening. I'm connecting my nervous system, finally resting with the 3 steps home I needed all along. Safety, support and expansion song. Exhale into being, I'm becoming the real me. My own safety inside, I'm not alone. My nervous system's learning to believe that it's okay to breathe, it's okay to receive. Exhale into being, one breath at a time. My body's remembering how to open to life. Exhale into being, exhale and let go. Exhale into being, let your body know. Exhale into being, it's safe to be here. Exhale into being, it's safe, it's near.
Whoops.
The life that is waiting and inside all along. It's time for healing and I'm singing my song.
God's will for me is perfect happiness. I accept that there is hidden darkness inside of me. And with my father's fall and the rehab and the stepping in and out of my mother's insanity and my sister's fears, there are old patterns that I wasn't even sure was here that are being activated. And because of everything we do together and the dedication of the practice, I recognize the gift. What a beautiful, beautiful gift to see the darkness that has been hidden in the mind and have the opportunity to choose God's will for happiness for me, to choose to stand still, to choose to accept that there's trauma or sanskara or to, again, the words don't matter, but something has activated the nervous system here, and I'm not going to pretend it hasn't. Um, and yay. And then to have a friend drop this song for me and watch what it does when I combine it with remembering the truth. I choose not to hide any aspect of this life experience. I choose not to hide any moment, any experience, any thought, any breath. And to me, that's what this teaching states. Between this and the guides and everything else we do, who do I hide from? If my nervous system is on fire, should I pretend that it's not? If I'm feeling angry or triggered, should I pretend that I don't? Or should I step forward and say, this is old, this is ancient, this is the belief, and I put words to it this morning, the feeling that I'm not safe. I confess that somewhere inside of Cindy, there's a feeling that she's not safe. And I love that I get to say that out loud. It feels safe to say that out loud because there's a knowing that I am God and so all is well. And there's this rising feeling, this darkness in the mind. And then you go to these teachings and they say, yep, it's there. Let it come. And quietly choose God's will for you. And so that's what I'm doing here with you. That's what I'm inviting all. That's what we're doing, whether we know it or not. As we kept stepping into this vibration and stepping into life and somehow choosing to trust the truth. That's all I'm doing right now and letting everything else unwind. I'm looking forward to your response. I saw John's. I had a feeling John would love that song. But I am finding it vibrating my cells right now. So it's a gift. Yeah, that's what I got. Hey, Andrew, what do you got?
Hello, Cindy. Hello, everyone. Love you all. Really like that song, Cindy. It was good. Uh, Never heard it before. No, God's will for happiness. I share God's will for happiness for me. I don't think it's possible for the ego to know what God's happiness is. The happiness of God, it's not the same happiness that the ego thinks of as happiness. God's happiness is uh, an unshakable peace, a feeling that there's nothing that can threaten your existence, nothing that can end your life, or nothing to fear whatsoever. Now, that's what we're all studying towards and striving for. But this lesson starts with you do not want to suffer. Now, I believe that you can feel pain and not suffer. But in order to do that, you have to realize that pain and pleasure are the same because they have the same function, and that is to make the body seem real. And paragraph 2 says, Today we try to loose its weakened hold still further and realize that pain is purposeless, without a cause, and with no power to accomplish anything. So we, as long as we're in bodies, we will experience pain. We will feel pleasure, but we just have to realize that that's part of the illusion. It's not the happiness that we're seeking, not the happiness of heaven. It's not God's happiness. But we still experience those. We still experience the fear, acknowledge it, and face it, but it, keep a hold of that inner peace that you know is with you constantly. That's inner peace is the happiness of God. That's what I have. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Andrew. Livy Laugh Love, LLL.
Sounds like a ranch, the triple L. The line that really just sort of took me in and covered me like a warm blanket was it's the paragraph 4. You have no need to be less loving to God's Son than he whose love created him as loving as himself. That just like, it was like a big, deep breath and just like putting a warm blanket around me, you know? And I'm so grateful for this group. Y'all went through a lot with me last year, and I'm incredibly grateful to be joining y'all today with a much more sense of peace and calm that I didn't know if I'd get back to. Last year really turned up a lot of stuff that I had so many good opportunities last year. And I'm so grateful for the guidance to know to be with the feeling and not the story. And to learn and how to do that today is such a gift. And I just wanted to highlight that sentence because it just so spoke to me in such a deep way. And so I just wanted to share that and just say that I appreciate this space that I was able to come to, as crazy as I felt some days. And because there was a lot of grief. And I'm so grateful for the smiles that come with memories now, to recognize a memory, and that is just all one thing. It's just all one thing. And I had stuffed so much that I was so scared to feel because I didn't know how to process it. And so I'm grateful today for the tools to know how to be with and not run from. And I'm really grateful to have y'all to do that with. And I sure do love us all very, very much. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Amy Heibel.
Thank you for this lesson. This is such a good lesson. I'd forgotten how good this lesson, what it could be. And I echo Andrew and Livy's comments. This lesson shows me how much deeper my understanding of A Course has grown. When I first read this lesson, and I've been studying the Course for 20 years, and I remember the feelings that I had when I first read this lesson, and there was resistance to it. Because I thought, I don't share that. I don't have that peace and that love. This is just like really hokey shit. That's what I thought it was. Like, you're not telling me I share that because I do not share that. But then, and even after a decade of working with the course, it had penetrated a little bit more, and I agreed that you do not want to suffer. I agreed that with that. And I also saw that I thought it might buy me something to suffer. I saw that, and I was like, okay, I see that that's like a false belief. I get that. And it was, so over time, my belief was shaken. But it wasn't until I really got into the non-dual teachings that I realized who is the I that shares God's will. Because for so long, I thought the I was the small I. And no, the small I, the little I, does not share God's will. But when I realized who I truly am in truth, who I am, the I am, and I stepped back into the unchanging, ever-present witness of my being, then the lesson began to sink in, really, really sink in. I do share God's will. I am God's will. How can I not share it? It's what I am. So that has just really continued to inform and deepen. And what I love and appreciate about all of you is that it takes experience to really deepen and understand these teachings. And as we spend time together, it's like the little stone of recognizing what I am got dropped into the pond. And I recognize, yes, I am God's will. And then being with you and walking the path with all of you, the ripple has just expanded into more and more and more situations, more and more life situations. And it becomes truer and truer and truer in every circumstance. And then it just permeates all of life. And being able to share that here with all of you is such a gift, and I so appreciate it. So thank you for bringing this back, Cindy. I just can't hear this stuff enough, and I'm just so grateful for it. So thank you.
Thank you. There you go. You'll have to unmute, sweetie. See if I click this button, does that help? Can you see a button to unmute? There you go.
I got a new my family gave me my sister at Chinazo. She's a doctor. She gave me a new cell phone. Which actually I didn't want. I'm like, I don't need it. And then I'm like, okay, let me just take it. I'm gonna take or I that's my mind. And I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to use it. I don't know. And I've been really pissed off. And my sister Ndidi, I talked to her and she said, Indigo, she said it takes time to learn all this new technology and all these new things. I mean, it's been for me, I mean, it's been um yeah, a lot longer than yeah. But actually that doesn't even matter. I don't even care about that. I don't. I don't care about anything. I don't. I love God. I love all of you. I love this teaching that we are so blessed to know. I feel this love, and it just explodes. It's everywhere. We are all love. We are all God. Everything is here for us. There is nothing but love. And if we don't think we see love, we're not seeing the truth, because that's all there is. And I just love being here. And I love everything that I'm experiencing. All of it is all here for me. And Dago's pissed off, and that's okay. She's welcome. Everything is welcome. Um, so yeah, I just love being here with all of you so much. So just and I'm sorry I missed it. I'm still learning how to use this phone. So yeah, I just love being here with all of you. It's just such a gift. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Natiga. And that phone and technology in general, it got you here. That's all that matters. So you don't have to apologize to us. We love that you're here. All right, Lottie, my friend, only a few of us heard about your experience with receiving A Course in Miracles. And I imagine that there are some here that would just love to hear your voice.
Good morning, family. I have to say that my system is resonating from that song. It was like that song took me and dropped me into a beautiful place from this lesson. So I'm grateful for it. As many of you know, I am not a student of the Course. What keeps bringing me back here is the resonance of this energy and the way in which what I'm learning about the Course resonates with whatever this learning has happened in this being. That I guess God is here. My first experience with the Course was many years ago when I opened the book up and I started reading it, and it had a whole bunch of shit in it I did not want to hear. Didn't like the words, didn't like the wording, didn't like the references, wasn't willing to explore it. Closed the book. Yeah, that's not for me, put it away. Actually left it on my shelf probably for 20 years. And that was the other one, not this big one. But somehow I ended up in Center for Awakening, and they're talking about it, and in class with Amy, and she's talking about it, and following her here, and we're here talking about it. And so it was offered by the Open Door and Cindy that they would purchase one for me, to which at first I was like, no, there's no need. I'm good. I can listen. But I'm also walking this walk of surrender. And so when the offer came again, and this is after that agreement to transparency that came through this system, I was reminded that I can only accept what is freely given. And this was something that was so freely being given. So I didn't say no. And the book came on Friday. She says it would come Saturday. It came on Friday. I left that shit right out there in the box. Knew what it was because I didn't order anything, but in the box. It kept calling to me. I ended up bringing it into my room, opening the box, look through it, just look through it. First, I wouldn't even take the plastic off, but then I said, okay, I'll look through it. Closed it up, put it over there on the table, the chair. Yesterday morning at 6 a.m., I was awakened, wide awake. The book had been calling to me all night. And when I say calling, I'm going to say that my system had already begun to engage in ways that I didn't understand. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, I grabbed a cup of coffee and sat down. And I thought I was just going to go to the first chapter. You know, I read all that other shit, right? No, you're going to go back and you're going to read from here. Turned out that the pages had already been flipped up, which was kind of freaky. And I had noticed that the pages were flipped up. I'm like, when did that happen? But the whole section, the intro, the authorship, all of that, the pages had been flipped up on the edge. Okay. And then out of nowhere, I somehow landed at Awakening today at 8:30 in the morning for the contemplation on trust. And very clearly was reminded of how important trust is in the divine as this walk walks forward with me. And my intention was to come to Cindy's talk there yesterday. Somehow I got tied up in shopping and stuff like that, trying to get some grocery shopping done. And I received a text, please come to the sanctuary. And I'm like, what? Because I'm going to go when it's time, but what? Turns out it was in my calendar wrong. I was in my calendar, it's 11. And I was supposed to be there earlier. And I guess what I walked in yesterday was absolute witnessing, because every single thing that came and went was actually exactly what was needed to keep the movement forward. And it just felt so, I'm going to say the words divinely ordered, because what I realized was I was receiving an invitation. Just like this song is an invitation. Just like your words always are, Cindy. And the invitation was to come back to A Course in Miracles, re-see it, rehear it, re-engage it from where I am, from where we are now. And I'm being clearly said, no, it's from where you are now. And I get that, because as I have been hearing in my system, you know, we're just waiting for you to catch up. So, yeah, and then we get this suffering thing. And I'll tell you something, Cindy, you sent me the lesson yesterday, and I went and I read it, and I was like, okay, close the book, walked away. For 3 hours, it kept bugging me. You need to write about this. You need to write about this. You need to write about this. So I went back to it after dinner, and I sat with it, and I wrote about it. And what I didn't like about it is it made me go back to where I didn't want to be, which was that place of suffering. And but what it did this time was it took me back to see how it had unfolded and disentangled itself. We experience almost no suffering now, and we exist in a body that has had physically over 150 arm and shoulder dislocations and over 50 leg and knee dislocations. Relaxation allows my joints to completely discombobulate and come apart, which is kind of interesting when the goal is to relax. Hasn't happened since I've been more intentionally on this walk. And suffering, people would say to us all the time, oh, we're so sorry for that. Oh, you're in so much pain. Oh, we're so sorry. But that level of suffering was nothing And we would say, well, it's not that bad. I mean, we could have cancer, it could be worse. But the other suffering, I've been on talking a lot, I know, but I'm so moved to read what I wrote last night. And it's not that long. It's just the way we were in suffering before. And it says, I share God's will for happiness for me. I once wore suffering like a warm blanket because I believed it to be my protection from what had already happened recurring. And so I told the stories over and over again, the woundings, the assaults, the assumptions of motive and intention, the filling in of blanks left by silence, constantly and continuously invoking the vibration of fear remembered. I was unaware. Whew, I was unaware to see at the time how I was creating, or rather recreating, the very thing I was working so hard to free myself from, the memories of fear. I had convinced myself that never again forgetting these things that had been locked away from memory for so long would ensure they would and could never happen again. The lens I saw through made perceived incidents of the past something in constant view, like the stain of indelible ink, a tinge that colored the entire lens to varying degrees. Nothing could be seen clearly through the lens of having suffered abuse, violation, neglect, abandonment. There seemed at times only suffering, only pain, only the stain of my lens. I avoided pain and suffering like the plague and created it faster than I could blink. I was lost in this cycle, wanting, praying, pleading for release. And that is what came, a releasing, a re-understanding, re-knowing, redefining of those two things, pain and suffering. I learned suffering was a choice. I learned that any moment that I wished it to be anything other than what it was, I was creating my own suffering. And I learned to use pain as a pointer for what I wasn't giving attention to. So I hear in the lesson where it says pain doesn't have a function, but I had to find the function because otherwise the pain didn't have a reason to find a way to release. I'll stop. Thank you.
You.
But isn't that something that sometimes pain needs a reason to release? That pushing back against it only makes it stronger. Because anything we give energy to in resistance gives back equal energy.
This whole concept of allowing things to fully express, just that.
That's a great insight that A Course has, Lonnie, that I remind myself of all the time. And it is that when we resist it, we make it real. We're saying, yes, this is here for me, right? And that was a key insight for me that A Course gave me. So when we look at no separation, everything is God's will, then when I look at the pain or the suffering, then I'm actually separating out and saying, this is not as it should be. And I'm making that separation real for me. So that was a good one, a good lesson for yours truly. I'm so glad you got the book.
He has a way of asking and then asking again. That didn't work. I don't know. It comes up again. So, yeah, it's fun that an open door can do things like that.
And learning to wait for the door to open again to ask again, too.
Well, the door is always open. Just What's there?
I wasn't ready when you first offered, and I
But
didn't
when
know
I,
I was ready when you second offered, but I decided to accept and step through.
the first, actually, the first, you said yes months and months ago, and there were no books to be had. They were unavailable on Amazon. Hey, Livy.
Hi, I was just inspired to share that I wrote a song many, many years ago, and one of the lines was the pain I ran from, I'm learning to walk through. And I had so much that I had stuffed from a little girl, actually. And then it felt like I had this monster inside at one point, and everything was to keep everything down. I got to keep everything down because I need to make this presentation out in the world that everything's hunky-dory. And then when I did first start allowing the pain to come up with outside help, so that at first I was like, I'm afraid if I start feeling it, it'll overtake everything because it's so much. That was before I knew that the body knows what it needs. The body is my guide. And in that is where I hear my higher power or the oneness. And so I finally learned how to feel the pain and then gradually allowing that to happen, some days in the fetal position on the floor, and to gradually up to now that when I used my anxiety, I realized was the stuff ready to come up to be processed, and it scared me. And now I welcome when there's a little bit of anxiety. I'm like, oh, something's getting ready to come up and be released, you know? And I know the next step is to sit and be with it. And today I welcome that because I know it's a releasing and it's an opportunity to fully release, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. And last night when I went to bed, I was laying there and just the recognition of you can't get this wrong. You cannot get this wrong. Really resonated so much in my body. And it's just a whole new way of being in the world, knowing that I'm not separate from anything. And when I do get into the fear of whatever is coming up, which I'm grateful that hasn't happened in a while, just to recognize that it's a freeing and it's an opportunity to gain, it frees up so that there's not as much noise and I hear guidance more clearly on what the next step is to be. And I'll be one day I was in the kitchen and I finished something. I said, okay, what do you want to do next? And I just sat for about 10 minutes and then I got my guidance on what the next thing was to do. And I'm really it's just a whole new way of being instead of running and being fearful in my own body. It was like I was separate within myself. And to kind of um, recognize that voice as the voice that was always there leading the show, and it's not doing that anymore because I'm bringing in the quieter, still voice and not buying into where I'm going to make you separate. And the pausing throughout the day, wanting to know what the next thing is to do, keeps me in the now, William. It keeps me in the now, right here, right now, right here, right now. And I hear y'all all throughout the day, and y'all teach me how to hear and with the heart. And so it's really kind of cool to be welcoming instead of tucking my tail and running. So grateful for that. Thank you.
I'm going to say one thing before I hand things to John, because it's making me smile how often we believe that sitting in the pause is not guidance. The way often it's like, all right, I'm going to sit and wait for the next guidance. Well, the sitting and being is the guidance, and actually then movement happens. But our consciousness sits and bees, right? So I can't remind myself often enough that that's the most powerful doings of the day is the being with. Hey, John.
Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, Cindy. Because it's another reminder that I can only think one thought at a time, just one thought at a time. So I can pause between thoughts, and so that's another great reminder. Thank you, Cindy, and thank you for the all the people who showed up here because this is the bubble, especially what you just said there, Livy. In your share about watching that action figure and being willing just to 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 take guidance, what you're going to do next. That's freaking amazing and amazing just to hear that again and again and again. I'm so honored and so lucky to be here to hear you say that and to, and your gratitude that you bring to the party is incredible. So just to have this experience of being here, in this bubble is amazing. And, I don't know, I know one thing for sure. Cindy started out with keep practicing. And the thing is, what am I going to keep practicing? What stories am I going to keep practicing? I do have a choice there, and that's where I got a pause when I noticed the stuff like you talked about. So, and today is I remember that this is Martin Luther King Day, and so there's a pretty exciting remembrance, that we can remember. We got lots of traditions that we can go back to where we got stand on the footsteps of giants, in this field, and we just take another breath whenever these things are going along. And the other thing I wanted to share was, that song is a trauma release program, Livy. And who doesn't have that to deal with? Who doesn't have a hole in a heart big enough to drive a steamroller through? And so basically, it just a reminder, cut myself some slack now and again if this thing pops up again, and then go back to what's going on. So somebody else said about pretending. And I love that word. I love that word because it's pretending. So it's before I tend. I can have a choice about what I'm going to attend to. That is what Lonnie was talking about. What do I attend to? Where do I focus? Where do I put my attention? I can pretend anything and make it happen. Pretend anything and make it happen. I have that choice again. I think it was Lonnie who said, I can only accept what's really given. And, just to realize what's given to us is amazing. And to have this reminder with this group. And look at my friend Rona. She's such a beauty. And, just to have this group, all of us here, and we're, at this time where the rubber hits the road, and they would be reminded once again. Anyway, I don't want to blah, 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 but that song was over the top again because it's it's a great story, but what is given to me, I can accept. What's really given, and that's the opportunity to remember the truth. So thanks, Cindy. I'm going to be practicing that one today. Bye now, folks.
I did put a link to the song in the chat, and I also put it in the Open Door Library, so YouTube library. Hey, Rana.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here with you all. Is next Monday one of the days you need covering? Okay, so I already have our thing, so I'll take next Monday to lead because it jumps right off of this. But anyway, what occurs to me is over and over again in these lessons, it says during the practice period, which is the pause, right? Remember, God's will for you is perfect happiness. There is no sin, right? We allow these things to roll through for a moment. And then that's the opportunity in stillness to go home again, is in that remembrance for a moment, pulling away from the madness of the world, whether it be what's going on out there or between my two ears. Um, that is the pointing every time, is to get still. Be still for a moment. Rest here, then do the next thing, you know? And the resting part is what is going to bring the happiness. It's not getting the next thing done or even knowing what the next thing is. Cindy pointed to that, it's now. This is the happiness, you know. So I appreciated that. That song was really good. The ego here would like to say that I haven't suffered the types of trauma that others have, but I believe that that's a lie. Cindy knows my story. You guys know parts of my story, right? But here it's like, it puts up this resistance, like, you don't have any trauma. Oh, this song is so squishy. But I made myself sit here, and sink into the words. And I had this beautiful memory. And so I would propose that we would send a link to this song to Susan Telford, because that song is a Susan Telford thing. I mean, and it's just this remembrance of working with her and forcing myself to show up every week, knowing that there was going to be some squishy songs and poetry and all these things that this ego would be like, but it's really good for me. That's what I've experienced, right? It's good for you, Rana. But there's resistance. And so I can practice gratitude for the seeing of the resistance, and that not, trusting, making another choice, which is what this is pointing to too. I always have another choice. What's for the highest good for all involved in this moment? And how can I see my brother? If I want to be happy, I gotta want my brother to be happy too. So I've got to apply all those same things I'm learning how to apply to myself. Innocence, non-judgmental awareness, hear the tone of my voice when I say it. You know what I mean? That's just my personality. And I'm beginning to laugh at her quite a bit. So thanks for loving me. I know you guys do. John, I loved the flirt you sent out today. That made me feel so good. You said I looked nice. Thank you.
So, Rana, I opened my WhatsApp listening to you, said, "Hey, Susan, Rana suggested I send you this song." Click. So, done. If I don't have to put something on a to-do list, it don't get.
Perfect. That's perfect. I will reach out to her and follow up.
I love us. We've been together for 59 minutes without hearing Sandra's voice, without hearing Richard's voice, without hearing Alice's voice, or May's voice, or William's voice, or Chuck's voice, which is crazy. Love us all. And we are getting together again in 3.5 hours. Oh, no, 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 no. 2.5 hours for the guides. Almost did that wrong. Yeah, man, I love us. Let me stop the recording.